It is said that one of the greatest senses we have is our sense of smell. And there are those smells that are just unmistakable, like what we're going to be making today. So let's go. So today's dish, guys, is all about the sweet tooth in mind, right? And we're making one of my favorites, classic cinnamon rolls. These cinnamon rolls, I can't tell you how easy they are to put together. Why do I always say it's easy to put together? Why? Because it literally is easy to put together. 7 ingredients, guys, 7 ingredients make up today's dish. And let's get right into it. So I'll show you guys what I have in front of me here. No particular order. I've got some all-purpose flour here. I've also got some milk, some egg, some melted butter, all right? We have a little bit of active dry yeast here and some granulated sugar. And then in my flour, I've also got just a little bit of salt, all right, guys? So I'm gonna start off by sifting my all-purpose flour with my salt here. Okay, just something I like to do with my flour. So very quickly. And you'll see how quickly this comes together. And stay tuned, guys. You will love the final product, I promise you. No disappointment here for sure. Okay, so I've got my all-purpose flour here, all right? And I'm going to set that aside. What I want to do now really quickly in the meantime is I want to activate my dry yeast here. And the reason for this is because a couple of things. I want to make sure that the yeast is actually good yeast, okay? So we want to validate that the yeast is actually alive and ready to do whatever it needs to do to our dough, and that is obviously allow it to rise. So I'm going to take my sugar here. I'm going to add this to my milk, which I've just warmed through slightly. You can do it on the stovetop. You can do it in the microwave. The only thing you want to avoid here is you don't want to get your milk to the point of scalding. You don't want it super hot, so you want to make sure that it's just warm to the touch because, again, we're going to be activating our yeast in here. And yeast, guys, is a living thing, so it does not want extreme temperatures, nor does it want really cold temperatures. So it's got to be that nice sort of in-between temperature where it likes to sort of do its thing, okay? So 3 ingredients in here right here, guys. Your milk, your sugar, and your yeast. Okay, so you're probably wondering why I've added in my sugar with my yeast. So guys, the yeast, all right, feeds on the sugar. And the other reason why I've added my sugar in with my warm milk here as well is because I want to make sure that the actual sugar dissolves in with my warm milk. So we want the sweetness of the sugar, but we don't want the actual texture or the granules of sugar in our cinnamon roll dough. Okay, guys? So it serves 2 purposes. And I've just got a whisk here, a small little whisk. I want to make sure that my yeast and my sugar mixture have been fully incorporated. All right, do a little sort of mixing sort of thingamajiggy here. Okay. So once your yeast mixture is mixed well, guys, and combined well, I set that aside, and then I focus my attention back onto my flour mixture. Okay, so I've got my flour and my salt in my mixer bowl, okay? And I'm going to place that onto my my tabletop mixer. Now, if you don't have a tabletop mixer, no panic, not to fret. You can simply just make this dough by hand on a work counter like this one here, just using your muscles, okay, guys? All right. Here I am flashing muscles that I don't have. Anyways, all right. So, okay, guys. So I got my salt, my flour in my mixer bowl here. I am using a dough hook attachment with my tabletop mixer, and then all you simply do is you combine your dry ingredients with your wet ingredients, and that's how easy it is. All right. So in no particular order here, I'm going to be adding in my 1 whole egg. All right, making sure that everything is in our mixer. I'm adding our liquefied or our butter, which we have melted down. By the way, this is unsalted butter here, in case anybody is wondering. All right, so add that in. And then I like to just start up my mixer. All right, so you want to start off on speed number 1. You don't want to get too crazy early on. All right, and what we're looking for here now is just allowing the mixer to kind of do its own thing. Okay, so I'm going to stop the machine here really quickly. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just taking a rubber spatula, which you see right here, and I'm going to just brush down the sides of my bowl, wanting to make sure that all of my flour, okay, basically incorporates itself into the dough mix itself. And this is where I'm going to now start, okay, just taking my yeast mixture here, along with my warm milk and my sugar. Give it a good mix. If your yeast mixture foams up, guys, it means it's good to go. So you want to make sure that your yeast is fully dissolved in with your warm milk mixture. And then you can start adding it to your flour. Okay, guys? Now, you notice that I have not added all of my yeast mixture in at one time. I'm adding it in gradually. The reason for this is because you want to make sure, all right, that you hydrate your flour a little bit at a time. If you add this all in at one time, it may be too, you may have added too much liquid by the end of it all, and then you got to balance out with some flour, okay, to sort of rehydrate the dough and bring it back. So you want to add this gradually, okay, not all at once. Again, it's always a visual. You're always kind of looking at your machine, okay? And really, guys, I like to classify this as a balancing act, okay? What we're looking to do here is, if the dough mixture appears too dry, well, you simply add more liquid. If it appears too wet, all right, that's when you have to add a little bit of that dusting of flour, okay? Again, I'm just going to stop my machine. I'm going to brush down the sides of my bowl, just making sure that all those ingredients have an opportunity to combine themselves, all right? Because you don't want any lumpiness in your dough. You want to make sure that everything is well combined. All right. So again, just going back to my yeast mixture here. And this will come together, I promise you. Okay. It may appear at some points that it won't come together, but it will. This is where that love in cooking comes into play, guys. All right? I always say it. If there's no love in your food, it just doesn't taste like anything. Right? No offense. I've got just a little bit more of my liquid mixture here, making sure I may not need all of this mixture, so I'm not going to add it all, guys, if I don't need it in. Okay, so a great tip or a definite sign, guys, that your dough is well balanced as far as the moisture content of your dough is concerned, okay, is when the sides of your bowl, all right, appear nice and clean, meaning you'll see no flour sticking to the sides of the bowl. The dough itself is not sticking to the sides of the bowl. Then you know that your dough is well balanced, okay? And at this point here, I wouldn't add any more moisture, any more liquid for that matter, okay? And you simply don't want to add any more flour either, because you don't want to dry your dough out too much. All right, so once we get our dough to this point here, guys, what we're going to be doing is we're going to allow the mixer, okay, to knead the dough. So all of that hard work that we would typically have to be doing without the mixer, again, unfortunate, right? It is what it is. But with the mixer in place, guys, you want to make sure that you allow this dough to knead for about anywhere between 6 to 8 minutes, all right? And what we're doing right now is we're basically just developing the glutens in our dough, and we're also strengthening our dough as well in preparation for when we roll out our cinnamon rolls, all right? So come on back. All right, so our dough's been kneading now, guys, for about 6 to 8 minutes here, actually more towards the 8-minute point. So I'm just going to take my dough from my mixer, all right, remove my dough hook, and All right, it's really small right now, guys. I know this actual dough yields 6 cinnamon rolls, okay? If you want to obviously double it, guys, just make sure just double all of your ingredients. Pretty simple. But once we take our dough from the mixer, you're not going to just leave it like this here, okay? You want to make sure that the dough is, you're just basically that kneading process. You're going to finish on your work surface. Now, you'll notice that I'm not placing any additional flour on my work surface here. Again, only because our dough is perfectly balanced, okay? I don't want to be incorporating additional flour, making our dough dry or drying the dough out in any way. So again, no need for that additional flour at this point here. What we are doing is we're just continuing that kneading process, just a few final times here on our work surface. Okay, and what we're looking for is that nice, smooth outer surface of our dough here, okay? And I'm just bringing it together, literally just by taking my hand here and squeezing the bottom of the dough and sealing off, okay, leaving that nice sort of smooth portion up on top, okay, guys? And ideally what we're looking for here is to seal off our bottom, okay? And again, that nice sort of dome-like appearance on our dough. All right, so I'm going to just remove our mixer bowl. We don't need that right now. Okay, we have here, I just have a plain bowl, which I've just sprayed with a little bit of cooking spray here. And this is where our dough now is going to rest for anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour, all right? And I'm going to be showing you guys in just a few moments here what this will look like. But the reason why I've lined our bowl with some cooking spray, really simple, guys, is I'm creating a non-sort of stick surface for when our dough eventually does rise, we will have to remove it from this bowl. So in order to ensure that it doesn't stick to the insides of the bowl, you want to just spray it with a little bit of cooking spray or a couple of drops of vegetable oil or basically an oil that doesn't have any flavor. So a vegetable oil or a canola oil is fine in this case here. Okay, guys? So I just take my dough, I'm going to flip it over, all right, making sure that it's all coated with that cooking spray oil, again, if you're using an oil, all right, guys? All right, so we're going to take some saran wrap here, or some clear wrap, okay, and we want to make sure that we create a nice airtight environment for where our dough can rest, all right, and at least double in size. That's what we're looking for here. We want to make sure that this doubles in size. But that yeast that's been added to this dough, guys, it needs that time to do its thing, okay? And that's where that process will occur, right here, right now. I like to find a nice warm area in my kitchen, typically somewhere near either the stovetop area, all right, where your dough will have an opportunity to rest, again, for that 45-minute to an hour time frame, all right? So we'll show you what this looks like when it's all proofed and ready to go. All right, guys, so we're back. Our dough's been proofing now for about an hour's time, and look at this. I mean, we went from that small little dough, which I showed you guys way back when, all right, and look it now. Okay, let me just remove the saran wrap here to do the reveal. Beautiful, all right. Our yeast has been working, all right, tirelessly over the last hour, all right, guys. And our dough is ready to go, ready to be rolled out. So I have here, I've already pre-prepared, okay, the filling for today's cinnamon rolls. Guys, check in the description below. Okay, the recipe for the filling is 3 simple ingredients, and I'll just go through it with you right now really quickly. We've got our brown sugar here. We've got cinnamon, of course, okay? And then we need, I'm using I've used margarine to bring it all together. Typically, when you think of a cinnamon roll, some people like to do a combination of brown sugar and cinnamon, more almost like a dry application. I like to add the margarine to mine because I like to spread mine on almost like a paste-like. And I'll show you how that's done right now, all right? So again, 3 easy ingredients, guys, really simple, and the recipe is there for you, all right? So I'm gonna be taking out my dough from my bowl here, and I'll show you where that, the nonstick spray, all right, where it comes into effect and why it is needed when we proof our dough, okay? Look at this. there's our dough. There's the clean bowl. All right. So basically your dough is rising in here. All right. But as it rises, it's not sticking to the inside of the bowl. You don't want to be losing any of that sort of that weight or the overall weight from your dough. You want to make sure that it ends up all in your actual product. Okay. So, all right. So what I'm going to be doing here, guys, I floured my work surface. Okay. And of course, when you're working with the dough, less is more. All right, guys, less is more. So you want to sort of play with the dough as little as possible. Okay, keeping in mind that this is a living thing. All right, you don't want to be pushing this thing or, you know, sort of pulling and pushing and moving it around. You want to just work with it as less as possible. There's that saying, right? Less is more. All right. So I'm just kind of pushing with my fingertips here, just and trying to maintain that nice round shape. All right. And I'm just using a rolling pin here. And what I'm doing is I'm going to roll this out to about, I would say, about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, guys? And I'll show you what that looks like. But in preparation for the filling of our filling here for our cinnamon filling. Okay? So I'm just moving my dough around here, and the reason for this is I want to avoid any potential sticking to my work surface. If I find that the flour kind of dries up, I reapply a little bit more flour. Okay? And again, we're making 6 cinnamon rolls here. All right? And just feeling around here, making sure that my dough, guys, is even all the way around. All right, perfect. I've got just a regular spatula here. Okay, so I'm taking, again, you'll see that the filling, it's just that nice paste-like consistency, okay? And I tell you, when this stuff bakes off, guys, you gotta be careful with this one because your kitchen is going to smell amazing, okay? So don't say I didn't tell you so. All right, don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, so what we're doing here now, guys, is I'm just taking some of that filling, and I want to make sure that I'm going right to the ends here, as you can see. If your counter gets a little bit dirty, no big deal. Look at that, beautiful. Okay. Any excess, I like to just remove. Okay, you want filling in there, but not to the point where it becomes, you know, too much. So I just kind of push this all the way across, guys, making sure that it goes right to the outer edges of my dough. Okay, just like that. All right, and then I can set the excess aside. Okay, and then come back to my cinnamon rolls here. So now what we're doing, guys, is really just taking the bottom portion of our dough, okay, and we are rolling. We're rolling, and you'll notice that I'm just ever so gingerly with my fingertips here. I'm pressing into the dough, but I'm not squishing. I'm not trying to apply any excessive pressure to my cinnamon roll dough here, guys. Just allow the dough to kind of, okay? And then what I like to do is I just kind of like to almost, you know, a nice even log shape, if you will. All right, making sure that, okay, it is exactly sort of uniform across both ends of the cinnamon roll, okay? So what I have here, we are making, this recipe does yield 6 cinnamon rolls, guys, all right? And you're gonna see from the finished product in just a few moments that they are very nice size cinnamon rolls. Trust me, each portion, guys, is definitely a crowd pleaser. There's not gonna be anyone in the house that's gonna be disappointed, I promise you. So what I've done here is I've taken 6. Okay, this is a muffin tin. So you're probably thinking, wait a second, why is he using a muffin tin? I like the individual slots that the muffin tin provides. Okay, so what I've done is I've lined my muffin tin. I've sprayed it with some cooking spray, all right, to avoid, obviously, your cinnamon rolls as they bake in the oven. You want to prevent them from sticking, all right, to your pan here. Okay, but you will see the finished product and you'll say, wow, okay, I know what he means now with the muffin tin, right? So just kind of like, you know, trust me on this one, all right, guys? So I like to do something called score or scoring. You kind of mark the dough with your knife and then you cut, All right, guys, so it's very important to note. So we are making 6. So I look at this and I think to myself, all right, I'm going to go 50% down the middle. And now I'm going to do 1, 2, 1, 2. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, guys. So I just go like this. And let me show you that cross section. Look at that. Okay, very nice, guys. All right. And you can see that every bit of layer here, or that internal portion of the cinnamon roll, has some of that cinnamon filling. All right, and then I just place that in my muffin tin like so. All right, making sure that every muffin cup or muffin tin gets its cinnamon roll, guys. Now, we don't put this in the oven right away. We have to allow the dough, guys, about another, at this point here, okay, maybe about another 30 to 45 minutes, all right? And just allowing this to come, or to, I like to call it sort of reproof or proof, okay? But we're reproofing the dough because we've already allowed it to rise one time, and now we're gonna allow it to rise a second time. And again, you wanna create that warm sort of environment where your cinnamon rolls can reproof. Okay, I just take my saran wrap. All right, I'm making sure that I just, again, create a nice warm environment for the cinnamon rolls to reproof. You're looking at approximately 30 to 45 minutes, or, all right, if you're just sort of working off of a visual, you may lose track of time sometimes. You just want these to kind of double in size. Once they've doubled in size, you're going to get these in a 350-degree oven, okay, Fahrenheit that is, for approximately anywhere between 30 to 35 minutes or until golden brown. All right, so come on back. I'm going to show you guys the finished product, and we're going to ice these babies. All right, everyone, so we're back. Our cinnamon rolls have come out of the oven. They're still relatively warm to the touch. All right, so they've been sitting here for a few minutes. But before we get into our cinnamon rolls and icing them, I want to talk about this delicious icing here. So it's a cream cheese icing. So like our filling for our cinnamon roll, guys, all right, the icing recipe can be found in the description below. And again, 3 easy ingredients that make up our icing. Icing sugar, all right, so confectioner sugar, if you will, cream cheese, and a little drop of milk just to sort of bind it all together and give you this sort of this, and look, I'm just going to just run my knife through this here, guys, but look, again, just a beautiful consistency. All right, you don't want it too runny, only because you want it to adhere and stick to the cinnamon roll. So let's get icing these beauties, all right? Okay, so I've got my cinnamon roll here. I'm going to pull one out. Okay, and as you can just see, very soft and delicate to the touch. Okay, I just like to have a plate nearby so I can just kind of, in case there's any spillover of the icing, it'll obviously fall onto the plate and not onto your work surface. So I take a butter knife. You can use whatever tool you feel at this point here. All right, if it's a spoon, you want to kind of just take the whole entire bowl and pour it over top. It's entirely up to you. And you put as little or as much of the icing as you like. But this, guys, is basically the, oh man, my mouth is watering. I don't know if I can hold it together here. But again, I'm the kind of person, I like a lot of icing on my cinnamon roll, because the more icing, the better. And I love the flavor combination of that cream cheese that comes through. All right, and there you go. We're just sort of, a little bit is dripping onto the plate. That's totally okay. And you'll see that it's just sort of liquefying a little bit here, only because our cinnamon roll is still relatively warm, okay? But it's okay, because you know why, guys? Guess what? It's all going to go down the same, and I'm going to devour this thing in about 10 seconds. All right, so not much for presentation, but look at that, okay? Isn't that beautiful? Okay, guys. So this, along, if you're a coffee drinker like me, have one of these guys in the morning with your cup of coffee. Little tip, okay? If what I like to do with my cinnamon rolls, I know my kids like it as well, is just flash them in the microwave for about 10 to 15 seconds just to warm them through. And I'm talking about obviously the next day, or if you're serving this, let's say in about 3 or 4 hours from now, and they've been sitting on the countertop, all right, just to sort of regain some of that, that pillow soft sort of texture in your cinnamon roll. Okay, just flash them in the microwave, like I said, 10 to 15 seconds before applying your icing. As I rip into this cinnamon roll here, be sure to hit the like, okay, share, and of course, guys, the ever so important subscribe button. It's things like this. Honestly, you know what? We love to make them for you, but it means the world to us if you guys just take that second, literally 1 second. It's free, absolutely free to do so. Hit the subscribe button and come back every single week, guys, just to see magical creations like these beautiful cinnamon rolls. All right, guys? So I can't wait any further because honestly, I'm dying here. My mouth is watering and I'm just gonna, wow. So good. I feel sorry for the people behind the camera. Guys, honestly, I got icing dripping down my hand and I don't care right now. I wish you guys were here to try this. Anyways, guys, join us here every week on Cooking from Scratch, all right? And as always, feed your passion, keep on cooking. We'll see you on the next one.